All righty, here we go. Bite Me podcast is on the air. First things first, look at that hat. Look at that hat that Captain Dean is wearing. Let me see if I can get him on here. Full screen by himself. Let's see if we can do that. Dean, oh, look at that. The Bite Me podcast hat, the rope hat.
It's got that in case of emergency. You got this little string right here.
You can set stuff on it. You can tie your boat off. All that.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that stuff. I'll get to that in a minute. But this is the Bite Me podcast. I'm John Lopez. That is Captain Dean Thomas. That is Captain Scott Knoll. Captain Caleb is either on a bunch of fish or still looking for fish. He was on the water last we saw, but may be joining us here in just a bit. Lot to cover as always. Some great questions, great points. Some other things that we got to cover as well. But don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget the Bite Me group page. That is bustling, pushing 11,500 members, which is pretty badass. That's pretty dang cool. All right, so let's get right into it. We got Dean and Scott. Scott's giggling about something. I don't know what that is, but we'll get to it. What's that?
And the ceiling fan, just the very tip of the ceiling fan was right on top of my head, and I was like, "What's in my head?"
Oh, you got something in your hair.
I went, "Oh, yeah."
you got something in your hair. All right. So I guess we should mention that real quick. Bite Me gear now. You can find brand new shirts and different color. I think salmon yellow, canary yellow, that's what they call it, and sky blue. And that sky blue hat that Dean is wearing looks good on him. Could look good on you as well. You can go to the group page on Facebook and click on the links that are pinned, or just shoot me a message. You can go to ogsauce.com. That's where everything is. But you can do that. Captain Dean, Captain Scott. I guess I'm a jinx because I left and there were no fish biting or very few fish biting. And Dean, I'm gonna start with you. It ties in with our first topic. And maybe it's an offshoot of it, even though we don't lose a lot of water on the dump, but we spent a lot of time last week talking about this perfect northwest wind, going to take out a lot of water, bait's going to be moving, fish are going to be moving. That might not be the case, and I'm going to ask the was it good for you question for Scott, because he's more where the dump would be effective. But you're on the fish this week. What you been seeing, man?
I think I may have figured something out.
All right.
That I did not know before. We have a delayed dump. It does not happen as dramatically and instantly as it does on the northern coast, mid coast. I guess we're kind of mid, but the tide. So you were here this weekend. The tide was still up good. You could run all across the flats. Tide was still ludicrous high. The last 2 days, our tide is gone. I mean, it almost went down to zero from like 2.2, 2.5. So that's a legit 24 inches of water that left the bay a week later. And we might have to compare again in the future and see.
Has that happened in the past, to your knowledge?
And I don't recall. But it's something interesting to ponder for the future that maybe I've just been missing it for the last 25 years.
But you were on the fish.
Yeah. And so the weekend, the high tide, I mean, fish have been scattered, picking them off here and there, but nothing real fast and furious. So the last 2 days, well, I guess it's been 3 days now, the tide has just dropped out dramatically. The water temperature dropped. We have water temperature to 66 degrees. It's crept back up to 70 today, right at 69, 70 degrees. But the tide dropped, concentrated the bait fish in the deeper flats. And even with the full moon, I mean, tonight or tomorrow is the full moon. And typically, you know, we get a little, it's not as easy leading up to the full moon. But we've talked about that in the past, how there's variables around that full moon that can override that. Yeah. But the drop in the tide, the drop in the water temperature, concentrating the mullet. And the mullet, man, I talk about that a lot. The mullet, where we've been finding these redfish, have been huge concentrations of mullet. I mean, you can see the schools, the water's just tingling on the surface. They're not jumping. It's not like a lot of obvious jumping and frantic mullet, but there's just massive schools of mullet. Around those mullet, in amongst them, those redfish are in there.
So Scott, does that make sense to you? And then I want to follow up with, you both are very well connected. Was the good dump, was the dump good? But let's talk about that. Does that make sense that maybe a little delay because the water is moving out there later?
Well, first off, I like when my water tingles. The hell was that?
The water was just tingling. Tingling water.
I was trying to think of a good word to explain that.
We call it nervous water, maybe?
That's just what came out.
Yeah.
It was trembling.
I heard mixed reports. It was kind of weird. And the ones who were negative about it, I guess, to say, probably don't understand it completely. Maybe that's it. Because the ones who understand it sent me messages and said, right on, dude. It was good. Yeah. It was all in.
They should have listened last week.
Yeah. So I think it was a pretty good dump from everything I've gathered. And in our cohort who isn't here, his Thursday thing fizzled like we expected it to. Going after, the day after. So he didn't do so well there. But yeah, a lot of them that sent me a little message on the side says it was on. I didn't get to partake. I had some things going that I had to take care of. And as well, it doesn't really happen as much here in Port O'Connor. It's not as drastic. It's a little harder to deal with. You do have that little bit of delayed reaction around here. What happens is the water, it's not just the bays that get pushed out. If you go look at the beachfront during one of those, the water is way, way down at the beach. I mean, it's gone. And so once that water's gone, then everything out of the bay's got to go somewhere. It's got to fill the gap. So I think that's what that delayed dump is, where Dean's talking about. It's not directly the water being pushed out by the wind. It's the Gulf going lower because the water is pushing away from the shore. And then the bay water fills in the gap. Right.
So what about this delayed reaction? I know Parkoff mentioned here that the wind pushing the water out of the Gulf might be an effect on the flats. Dean. Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense that it takes time for all that. And then you still have, an incoming tide in between all that is going to offset a little bit. It's not going to just drain for 3 days. You're still going to have a tide that wants to come in every 12 hours or so to offset that. And of course, the location of the coast, we talked about that a lot the last couple weeks. And of course, Galveston and that part, I mean, the wind blows straight offshore, straight out of the bays. And every system is going to have its own nature. But we'll see what happens on the next one. I mean, we'll compare and contrast if it does it again with the same rhythm. And, you still, no matter what you think, you're still figuring stuff out there on occasion.
Man, every time, something.
But then, and if you're looking at like Copano Bay and St. Charles Bay and those bays way back in there, I mean, it takes a long time for and the water has to flow out Port Aransas or Cedar Bayou, but it's not nearly. I mean, Port Aransas is 100 feet deep and 200 yards wide. That's a lot of water compared to, knee-deep water in Cedar Bayou that's going in and out of there. So the time that it takes for all of that water in those back bays to move with the fluctuations of the high tide going back and forth, delayed response.
Yeah, that's a big part of why Galveston does so well. Is you got Chandler's Pass, which is a very large pass, and you got the Galveston Ship Channel. I mean, that's a huge amount of water can go through there in a short amount of time. So I think that's probably part of why it's a little more dramatic there. Sabine's just not as big of a place. It's not as big of a lake, so it can drain out. Same with Shoe. Those other places further up the coast, they're not as big and wide and as expansive as what Dean's talking about with Copano and all of that having to go out. I mean, you look at it from Baffin all the way up into Copano, all that has to go out through that one cut.
One spot. Yeah, basically. Probably a good time to remind people to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast, but especially Podbean, because you can go back and listen to last week's episode. You can listen to every episode that we've ever talked, because there will be another dump, and we're getting comments right here on the live stream on YouTube, which we record live every Tuesday at 3:30. You can hear the podcast because I'll post it by 6 p.m. on Tuesday. But we're getting comments. Scott, you were right on in what we talked about last week. Dean as well. So yeah, you want to go back and learn some. I mean, this is why we do it. You said, Dean, you're talking about we learn something every time, or maybe you don't even realize it. And it's a little adjustment that you make. You know what I mean? With stuff
you
like
never
that.
know. If you're not careful, you just might learn something.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what else maybe jumped out at you guys this week, at least from the reports you got or the fishing you did, before we get into some of these other topics? Because you were mentioning right before we came on, and you mentioned it here briefly about maybe some of the deeper cuts on the flat. They can operate like a big deep drop off in other bays, right, Dean?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest factors of this week was the drop in water temperature. I mean, we went from, it wasn't that many weeks ago, we were still seeing 84-degree water temperature. It was 66 degrees 3 days ago. Crept back up. But so as the tide drops out, that water's there, it's going to warm with warm afternoons. The shallow, it's going to warm up a little quicker. But from 66 to that's still only 4 degrees. 70 is what I just love. I mean, when it's hanging in the 70-degree range, it's all good. But we went from 84 plus or 80 plus and this crazy high tide to a low tide and 66 degrees. It just kicks the seasons into the next gear. And it concentrates the fish. So the flats that we've been fishing on that super high tide, they're bone dry today, man. I mean, all of the sandbars are poking out, all the reefs are out of the water, and even the high tide. So before, the low tide was still the high tide. Even when the high was ridiculous, the low tide was still, you could run anywhere you wanted to across these flats. Today, the high tide is still low tide. You still have sandbars poking out. You still have all those things.
Amazingly, I understood exactly what you said. Remarkably, I did.
Low tide. A low tide is a low tide,
and the low tide is still high tide.
The low is dirt. That's what it is out there.
Low tide ain't no tide.
Haven't seen them redfish crawling up on the sandbars lately, but if they run out of water, you will see them. But all of that put together with the changing temperature, the tides changing, and absolutely amazing conditions, light wind, the most pleasant, enjoyable. I don't know if have this euphoria from a long, brutal summer of baking my brain in that heat, but sitting out there on the boat this week with that little cool breeze blowing, man, I even had to put a hoodie on one morning. It was I was like, guys, it's a little chilly out here. But the most amazing, beautiful, pleasant weather coinciding with redfish just blowing up on top waters. And I was saying crystal clear water at midday with these low tides throwing top waters across that grass. you can see those reds coming from 5 and 6 feet away.
Oh,
and when
yeah.
they blow up on it the first time and miss it, you know, a couple twitches, bam, you see them come back to it. You can watch them circle it. You can just see their behavior and their attitude of how they're reacting to that topwater. Then you can adjust your retrieve. That's whenever you can like, okay, what do they want? Pause it, twitch it, run it a little faster. And then on the next cast, then you become much more productive when you can adjust to what you're seeing.
That is absolutely one of my favorite things, when you can see their shoulders almost just coming out of the water, going right toward the bait.
We have watched redfish follow a topwater and just circle it. Just continually get in front of it, go behind it, circle it, and then you get the right twitch and it turns around and just booyah.
Yeah,
I mean, just comes up. But we've also had, there's been a variety. Some of them have come just straight sideways in one streak, boom, and just eat it. So all redfish are not created equally.
No, that's awesome. Wish I was there.
Oh, and then so here's another thing: the speckled trout, which I talk about it all the time, how when the water temperatures cool down, it becomes like 50-50. The trout move from the deep water, they move from the drop-offs, and then they invade the flats. We have had not a lot of big trout, but intermingled with those redfish, we have had a couple of speckled trout, 23, 24 inches, and then a bunch of other 17 and 18.
That's a topic. That's a topic today. So put a pin in that, because that's something we're going to get to here next. But I want to get to that and dig a little deeper. But Scott,
get ahead of myself.
No. That's perfect. One thing I'm hearing from Dean, and I'm sure you heard it too, you know, dare I say, a fall pattern is upon us.
Yeah, well, it's that right time. We got the good cold front in. I was just checking water temperatures all over while Dean was talking. I got anywhere from 72 to 75.
So are those in the channel, in the deeper water?
No, that's actually the cooler ones were way back in the bay.
Because I was picking up the 60s on the flats on shallower water.
So what should we expect here? Let's say, really, what is it? November? Next month, 2 months?
It's just going to be a steady downward trend on the water temperatures. We're supposed to have a hell of a front coming, what the long-term stuff is saying. And that'd be interesting to see what it does to it. Dean said, at 70-degree mark, I like that water temperature between 70 and 75 for bay fishing. Of course, it ruined my beachfront and my tarpon.
Yeah.
They said, we're going to Mexico.
They gone. We're
going to Mexico for the winter.
Yeah.
See ya. But
adios.
Takes everything off, you know.
They're drinking that Pacifico right now. They're all over
tired of the Shiner and they head south.
They're getting that Pacifico. Oh, before I go on, you did want to talk about, speaking of which, and nearshore and offshore red snapper season about to wind up, Scott. I guess the 21st?
Yep, they finally announced it. They always kind of it's a moving thing, and they do it based off of catch rates and all this, black magic crap that they try to pull.
Yeah.
I don't know how in the world they can come up with an accurate amount of how much the recreational people have taken. There's really no, and they have formulas for it, but it moves all the time. So they finally announced it that it's going to be November 21st this year when they shut it down. Still have the state, we'll have state waters open.
Yeah, that's federal waters. Yeah.
That's all federal waters, 9 miles and further out. So the good news is when it's wintertime, the snapper move in some too. We get some bigger snapper moving in closer. So fishing the state waters, you have bigger, more fish for the limit, and got a better shot at getting some decent fish.
Federal is 2, right?
Yeah, federal's 2, state's 4.
4. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was 3 or 4. So yeah, but make note of that. All right, so this is the topic I wanted to talk about that Dean touched on. And maybe even though we didn't catch a whole lot of fish, we did catch a bunch of trout on Saturday, I believe. And lo and behold, like that night or the next day, I got a question exactly about that. And I think it ties in with this cooling water temps and stuff. And that's about, bailing on little trout. We've talked about it. A lot of people have talked about it. All I'm catching is little trout. We've had that as a topic. How long do you stay with the little trout? Do you move on or whatever? Well, as luck would have it, we were fishing. My wife and I were fishing a drop off because we weren't catching any red. I mean, there was no reds on Saturday, like nothing. I didn't see anything. I didn't get a blow up hardly or anything. So I said, let's go see if we can find some trout on this drop off. And 2 or 3 fish, we caught about 2 or 3 fish. I'm talking 14, 12, little bitty trout. And then lo and behold, boom, 18-inch trout. Another little one, boom, 20-inch trout. That was about the biggest one we caught then. So the question came in, and I think it ties in with this. Caught a few nicer trout mixed in with smaller ones Saturday. It did remind me this time of year on drop-offs on deeper. Oh, no, that was me. But the question was about that was my note to myself. But the question was about basically that. I'm reading me. Basically that. Like, how long do you stay with small trout? And then does it depend on the time of year? And Scott, I'm gonna start with you because Dean, you have very recent, experience with this. You just referenced it, so we'll get to you. Oh, go ahead. You got something now?
Well, I have just one interesting point. Mm-hmm. So that spot where you were fishing and I came up on you and we caught some trout and stuff. When that tide dropped out to 0, I have passed through there the last 2 days, and I was like, oh boy, let's get it on.
Yeah,
I'm like, here we go. There ain't a damn fish to be caught over there.
Really?
So what you would expect that would have pulled all of those fish into, and no. And so I've gone over there. I've passed through a kind of on slack tide, and I've only spent like about 30 minutes. I really didn't get real technical with it. I went in there and I was like, man, if I catch a fish, they're going to be here. Trolled around, great conditions for casting, but that's just another one of those lessons in life that you've learned.
Yeah, but here's the thing. We caught probably 20 trout, 20 small trout, and then Scott, about 5 real good ones in there. And then I got that question. I'm like, okay, so this time of year, they all trout, well, all fish, but really in this case, all trout kind of look for that deeper water. So I'm guessing that this time of year, you can find some bigger trout mixed in with the little ones. I mean, I did.
Yeah, I find it on redfish all the time when the tide falls out. Yeah, redfish typically they're schooled up in like sizes in their schools within an inch or 2 of each other. But when that tide falls out, all those fish come from everywhere that's been flooded, and they fall off into that deeper water together. And I think it takes a while for them to sort things out. Yeah. I really do.
No, and sometimes
I've seen it happen so many times on redfish. I don't see why it wouldn't be the same with trout.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get the little fish are just more reckless. I mean, they're going to get to it first. They're going to be a little more careless. And then that type of fishing for us here, where we fish those drop-offs and the edges of those, it can be real technique oriented as well. Mm-hmm. It can be specific to the retrieve, where you throw it and you let that thing sink. I mean, you don't touch it for like 5 seconds. Let it get to the bottom, and then work it across the bottom is going to usually pick up a better fish. If you work it higher in the column or on the top, and if you keep doing that, you're going to keep catching little trout. You're going to keep catching the smaller ones. But if you kind of get tuned in to a different retrieve, then you can find a different variety of fish in that column. And normally that's fishing in water that's like 4 feet deep for me.
And that's about what it was. I think I told you the better trout, well, the trout that I was catching were all in about 3+, just a little over 3 feet. Right. But again, man, it was like like, she was like, well, we're just catching a bunch of little ones. And then all of a sudden another big one mixed in. So to answer the question, I guess, Scott, dropping tide, cooling water, those trout just they don't care who else is there,
Yeah, I mean, big ones eat little ones too.
That too. Yeah. Now we didn't catch any monsters.
Trout are very cannibalistic. Doesn't matter, how big a trout is. They'll eat each other. That's why they have such a hard time with them in the hatcheries.
Yeah. And
But
Franklin brings up
1,000 fingerling in there, and you end up with 10 big ones.
Yeah. Franklin brings up a good point. Maybe the bait that's a little more selective, like a jerk bait, when small trout are hitting the jig. No, that is true. Also depends on maybe the bottom. But I think something that.
And so here's another theory that I've had over years is those drop offs, those edges. It's like a long wall. If you think about what's underwater, you got the flats behind you that are super shallow, and you got this drop off that's a long straight line. You can be catching small. So my theory is, I don't have any science behind this, but it's my theory, is that those fish are moving along that drop off. They're not parked in one spot. They're kind of moving from one right to left or left to right. And you can sit there and you can be catching small trout, and then all of a sudden, boom, man, you start getting into a better variety of trout. And my theory has always been that you just have to wait, keep fishing until better variety passes through the area. Or if you have good conditions where you're on the troll motor and you can be mobile, you move up and down and try to head them off.
Yeah, that was actually.
You can see that happen when you got a whole line of fishermen, fishing a drop off or fishing the surf, which the surf is just another form of a drop off with the sandbars and the guts. And you can see it all the time where the guy on the far left is the first one to hook up, then the guy next to him hooks up, then on down the line.
Well, and it stands to reason what both of you guys said, because the one time, the good 30-40 minute stretch that we were catching the most, the wind was perfect down that drop off. I think it was I guess it was a north wind, northeast wind, just taking me right down that wall. Like, and I mentioned it was right on 3.5 feet. I mean, it was just right down that wall. And then when the wind changed, it was a lot harder work and a lot fewer fish. But when I was going right down that wall, I was going to them. I was drifting to them. So this time of year, man, not all times a year are the big ones going to be mixed in with the little ones, but this time of year it seems like it would definitely work.
And so one interesting thought on that, as I sit here and think,
that's what you're here for.
So the day after when the weather really changed, that drop off, that area got really dirty. It got really churned. The water was off color. And then so yesterday and today, as I passed through there, the water was clear again. It was really nice. But that change in wind, that change in the water clarity may have moved those fish out of there. Be interesting to see how it plays out the next couple of days.
Yeah.
If they do return.
Here's another thing, and this is another topic that came up. Some things that are overrated and underrated. Dean, you said something when we were just chatting after on Saturday evening over a beverage or two, and you talked about how it was just overrated. And
how do you expect me to recall?
I don't. I'm thinking out loud here.
Dean says a lot of stuff.
Wait, he does.
The things I say are overrated.
There's one. But I know one thing. I forget what day it was, but I was fishing, and you always hear people say, I know you guys hear it on your boat, especially when you're not catching fish. You hear people say, well, it's just great being out here. and half the
what that means is you suck.
What that means is you didn't catch squat.
But it's great to be out here, man.
It's great to be out here.
Nice.
But I will say, I think Friday or whenever I was out there the first time, it had been like 3 weeks because I had been doing a bunch of stuff around here. And I said that, and I actually meant it. I was like, it's just great being out here, man. Finally.
Hey, well, today, we caught a lot of fish. That was great. but the pleasant conditions
Perfect.
was absolutely wonderful to be outdoors.
Yeah.
And man, down here in South Texas, whenever you get a 60-degree morning, which is rare, you really learn to appreciate those things, man.
Yeah. It had been so long. I saw Dean and Carrie when we got there Saturday evening. I gave them both a big old hug. I was like, I missed you guys. I was like,
We all had a little tear in our eye.
That's right. So it did get me thinking about overrated or underrated. I'm gonna throw it out to you guys, and just feel free to hop in as you. And we're not going to mention barometer, but as you see fit. Midday fishing, is that overrated or underrated?
Underrated.
What time of year it is? It's underrated.
Right now, it's underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's underrated this time of year.
As soon as the air and the water temperatures cool off, way underrated. Evening fishing is way underrated.
Yeah.
The later we get into December, January, February, you need to flip the script and not go out until noon and fish till dark.
You know how I feel about that. But like the one thing, go ahead.
Well, midday you can see fish. I mean, that is, and in the middle of August, who the hell wants to be out there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yeah, you guys know how I feel about this. Like the afternoon, like this time of year, my favorite time to go out fishing is like 1 o'clock, all the way till. I love sunset fishing.
That's too late.
I love when it's sunset fishing, maybe noon, but you know what I mean. To fish in the afternoon, right until the sun goes down and come in right after sunset. Oh man, that is a lot of fun.
When I was guiding in Louisiana, it was hell. We didn't even get out of the house until 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
I mean, that was on guide days, and I'd guided 50 plus days out of over those 2-month periods in January and February, and my guys are always hey, let's go, we're gonna go, what time we getting out of there? 9:30, maybe 10. We'll hit the water about 10 o'clock. There wasn't any sense in going any earlier than that in January, February. The fish I tried a few times, and the fish were just lethargic. They just didn't want to do anything until that sun got up.
Another thing specific to this week, which is the full moon, if you look at the Solunar table, which we've established that's some voodoo magic in the past, the major feeding period when you have a full moon or when you're right at the full moon or leading up tends to be at midday. But in July, August, September, midday, you have overriding factors, which is 90-degree water temperature, and nobody wants to be there. So now when you have these cooler days and then it coincides with a major feeding period at midday, man, you got just a couple more factors in your favor. You can see fish, they're active, the water temperatures are down, and it's enjoyable to be there.
Yeah, no, I love that's. We all talk about November, but particularly that afternoon fishing, for sure. All right, overrated or underrated, and we'll dig in because these are all little topics that our listeners can pick up some tips on as we move along. Any.
And we lost him.
I'll read it. Any color will work. True, but do they get as
Will any color work? Is that overrated or underrated?
Man, okay. That's a good question. Normally, I say any color will work.
Yeah.
We've been throwing different colored topwaters over the last couple of days. The bone, or whether it's white and red, white and green, white and white, as long as it has had white on it, it has gotten hit. I throw the gold and black a lot, and the chrome and black a lot. And I've been in the middle throwing the off colors while my guys are on the front and the back throwing something white. The white topwaters have been getting hit consistently more than the off colors.
Mm-hmm.
So, and y'all have heard me preach that I don't give a damn if it's purple with pink polka dots and blah, blah, blah. That theory has been kind of proven wrong this week. So color has had an influence in the last couple of days.
What do you think, Scott?
I think the white thing is when they're eating mullet. And when the mullet are riding high up in the water column, right up on top, and they're, what is it, sprinkling the surface or whatever, titillating the surface. That's when white seems to do best for me.
Mm-hmm.
And on soft plastics, generally speaking, it's either light or dark, and that's about the only two colors I consider. There's a light color, there's a dark color, and but my best snook day in Texas ever, they would not eat anything but a white soft plastic. Period.
Where were you?
Down the Brownsville Ship Channel,
and
fishing with Lee Alvarez, and it was right after a big freeze, and the mullet were kind of stunned, and they were sitting on top in dirty water, and the snook were just blowing them up from underneath. And we had all different colors. It was a DOA event, one of the Mark's media events, and so I was paired up with Lee, and we were playing around because we had, we got all the soft plastics in the world. We know a guy who makes them.
Yeah.
And, we were struggling trying to find white in the boat. I mean, we were digging around in both our boxes because we were running out of them, and we caught 50, 60, 70 snook that day.
Oh, baby.
At least that. Could have been more. My biggest snook in Texas, a little over 30 inches was caught that day. But if you put a different color on, I don't care if it was just a light color, like
a bone or something.
Pink. That bone would work, but it's close enough to white. But like a pink, we had some bubblegum pink stuff. We had some straight chartreuse. None of that worked. You throw it out there over and over and over again, throw a white one right next to it, and the white one would get scarfed.
Yeah.
And I really think that has something to do with when mullet are riding high, because we did have a lot of mullet in that dirty water, and they were kind of cold sun.
No, that makes sense. I hadn't thought of that way, but all right, overrated, underrated. And again, we can dig in because I think there's a bunch of levels to this one. Grinding, like you're 45 minutes into a wade or a drift or whatever it may be, and you just keep going and keep going. Is that overrated or underrated?
45 minutes is a warm up.
There you go.
6 hours is a grind.
I'm talking about like that particular spot.
I'm talking about 6 hours is a grind.
You have not
45 minutes is a warm up. I mean, okay.
So it's underrated.
Grind is not overrated. I mean, sticking with it will pay off. I mean, it will. It's and it's probably well established that my attention span is not as long as others. It's a test for me, but grinding it out. And so even when you move to a spot, like when you're moving on days when you're searching and you're really trying to figure it out, you have to give it time to develop. You're not just going to run in there. I mean, the days that we dream of are the ones when you run in there and boom, first 2-3 casts, bam, bam, fish. Okay, here, they're here. No, it's just, they're in a good mood. But grinding is not overrated. There's days you have to do it. I mean, you just have to. I mean, Scott is the master. With Scott, you better bring a sandwich. You better bring 2 sandwiches with Scott.
Lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
Scott?
Patience, man. Patience pays off big time. And it depends on, there's so many variables in that. If you're up sight casting and I'm poling and we're in clear water, like Dean was talking about, where you're watching all the fish, if I'm working an area and it's dead and there ain't no bait, there ain't no fish, there's no reason to grind. But if I'm seeing fish and I know that the fish are there, I'm gonna stick them out until they start eating.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I think, talk about grinding in a particular spot. You're not just like cast and reel. I mean, you have to have your head on a swivel. You have to understand maybe a little bit here, know where the depth is, watch the depth finder, check out, what the bait are doing, what size bait they are. I mean, that to me is the fun in fishing, figuring it out. It's not just like, well, here's my plastic and I'm waiting or I'm drifting or whatever, and I'm just going to throw. I mean, there's just so many little adjustments that you can make that can make a big difference.
And there are obvious signs and there are subtle signs. I try to stay tuned into the subtle signs when you're looking for, I mean, especially on a grind, on one of those days where you're looking for a little clue to give it away if we are going to stick it out here or go. It's though that we've talked about that, when to stay and when to go. You know, we've had that discussion here. I think that falls into the grind pretty good on just a different term referring to the same thought process of figuring that one out. Man, those are the decisions that we sit there and, when people are on the boat with me, they have no idea the grinding that's going on in my head.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Of the decisions that we're going to make. Today was a pretty good example. Today, we were on some decent fish. It kind of played out for a minute. And I said, okay, let's take a ride. I mean, let's go try something else. I went to another spot because the tide started pouring in. The tide was really coming in strong. I'm like, over here, the tide runs in, it crashes into these islands. It creates a lot of current. Let's take the ride, take the chance. We ran over there, ran about 10, 20 minutes, pretty good boat ride. Got there, spent less than an hour and just gave up on it. Went back to the original spot, and then it took off even better, where I wish I would have just stayed and waited that one out and went with that. But the gears were grinding it. The gears in my head got the best of me. I was even apologizing. I was like, sorry about the boat ride, guys. We wasted too much time running around looking. Should have stuck with this. Lessons learned.
Yeah. And so go ahead, Scott.
Fish to find fish.
Yeah, especially little ones this time of year. See, we're bringing it full circle. But Scott, I mean, Dean touched on it. I touched on it a little bit. If you're just going to sit there doing the same thing over and over and over again without paying attention, and not just to the water, and I'm a big, as you are, Scott, you and I have talked about this a lot. I'm a big advocate of what's the activity on the shoreline. Is there something pushing bait up? Are there egrets walking, or are they just sitting there? Are they poking or not? All this stuff. Depth. I don't want to be a bass guy, but I've always wished I had a depth finder on the front of the boat when I'm on one of those long. So I can just kind of
live scope.
Yeah, just kind of keep an eye on things. But that's what we're talking. Like, there's grinding, and then there's grinding with a purpose.
Yeah, my grind is for a purpose when I'm poling. People don't realize, it's a slow, say it's a slow day and having a hard time locating my fish. The weather's changed, the tide changed, whatever it is, and it's thrown everything for a loop, where I've been having fish every day in this one particular area and certain type of bottom. Everything's doing great. And now I've got some big, environmental change, and I know I'm going to have a grind day. I'll pick an area to pole where I can hit all different kind of bottoms and different kind of structures and different depths. And I'll start off at one end of it, and to the customer, it probably looks like we're just, pulling the same thing all day.
No rhyme or reason. Yeah.
And there's no rhyme or reason to it at all. But from my vantage, I'm pulling hard sand with no grass. I'm pulling hard sand with grass. I'm pulling mud. I'm pulling shell. I'm pulling an area that's 6 inches deep. I'm pulling an area that's 2 feet deep. I got one area that's got nothing but grass around the edges, and I got another area that's all mangroves, flooded up mangroves. And eventually I'm going to put it together, hopefully, that Okay, the fish today, they're doing this. Now there's other days, my most recent days, they've been everywhere. That's a product of the fall. Everybody's a hero in October, November. But when those grinds happen, that's usually a July or August or sometime along there where it's like, man, where did the hell did the fish go? I forgot how to fish.
From what I saw today, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow?
What's that?
I'm going to beat the crap out of that piece of grass I was on today.
Yeah, that's right. You are going to grind. You are going to grind.
There ain't going to be no grass left in that corner after I get done tomorrow.
All right, here's another one. And this one had me thinking, so I know it will you too. Casting distance. Overrated or underrated?
It's overrated to me. I mean, it's completely overrated.
Well, your style, yes.
Yeah,
but just in a general sense. Yeah.
I mean, the only time that I really, would want a lot of distance is just, anytime I'm blind casting covering water. And now that does apply for the tarpon fishing, from time to time, whenever the tarpon are up and they're moving around. Yeah, it's great to be able to cast a long ways and cover more water. It also works out when we're doing the jacks or anything like that, because they pop up over here, they pop up over there. You never know. You can't have the boat in the perfect position. So some days you got to be able to hum it. Trout fishing along a drop off or something like that, where you can cast further and you can cover a little more water. But day in, day out, accuracy beats the hell out of distance in my game.
However, and it is a great contrast between what Scott is talking about and drifting the wide open grass flats where I'm at. Distance coverage does pay off with fish. I mean, you're hitting a sand hole before the boat alarms those fish of that area. So to me, long casts catch more fish. They hit out there on the perimeter.
So it depends on what you're fishing.
It's a scenario dictated kind of program. Drifting the wide open flats, the grass beds, the longer the cast was going to probably create more opportunity to
create more opportunity, but not necessarily eliminate any opportunity, because how many times they hit it right by the boat.
I get people that can't cast the length of the rod and they still find a suicidal fish under the boat.
So that's how they catch them.
That's part of why, I have so many rods. That's what we did. Me and Collins worked on the sawgrass rods for that tarpon rod, was something that we could really cast a long ways, and being able to cover a lot of water with it, and being able to hit those fish that popcorn up on you. They just show up here, show up over there. But on the Poland skiff, that's why I go with a shorter rod. Got a lot better accuracy. The shorter the rod, the better your accuracy is with it. And we're not casting over the horizon. We can't see the fish over there.
Who knows if they're there?
Yeah.
And by the way, shout out to, I'm glad you mentioned Sawgrass and Collins. That topwater rod that I've been using of theirs, I don't know, maybe it's just in my head. I don't think it is. Like, there is literally no hook set. Like, it's just perfect. The action on the tip of it or whatever, as soon as they hit that topwater, it is hooked. And a lot of times I know, redfish or trout will do that anyway. They'll kind of hook themselves if they really bang the bait. But man, that is a good rod. And you're talking about the tarpon rod. I'm talking about the topwater rod that he gave me. Just outstanding. Just freaking outstanding. All right. This was going to be in the next topic, but we might bump it over to next week, because I think this is a good one that's overrated or underrated, and that is rod length. The length of the rod, is that overrated or underrated? I know it depends, but give us your thoughts.
That's underrated for what you're what you're trying to accomplish. I got rods of all lengths. You know, I got 6 foot to 8 foot, and then not including fly rods. You know, then you get into 9s, but even on fly rods, I've got some short fly rods that Collins and I've been working with, and we're getting some shorter rods that are beefier, and you can't cast as far, but you can cast really accurate with them, and you can fight a big fish, and you can subdue a big fish pretty quick. One of them we're calling the shark rod, but it kind of came through accident because he shipped a bunch of rods out to the East Coast, and UPS, or I think it was UPS that he was using, could have been FedEx, I don't know. Anyway, they managed to break the tips of every one of those rods. So he took them and cut them down and wants me to try them out for like fishing behind a shrimp boat, catching kings, fishing for sharks, things where you're throwing a big heavy fly. Regular gear, like I just talked about, having a shorter rod for working topwaters is great. Having a shorter rod for sight casting is great. You're down there with Dean, you want to cover a lot of water. A longer rod's it's a lever. It's going to give you more distance. A 7.5 foot rod would be great down there. 7.5 foot spinning rod.
Go ahead, Dean.
No, that's Scott couldn't have said it. I mean, I can't really duplicate or improve on what he said. He covered them all. Longer rods give you a little more distance. Lighter action is going to load a little better. It's going to cast a little further. Shorter, stiffer rod is going to give you a little more accuracy if you are casting at tails and side casting. So through all of the years, when I got at kayak trips, we were focused on sight casting. We were looking for tails, you spent more time looking and way less time casting. At that point, it was like a 6'9", 6'6", stiffer rod that was going to let you gauge the release point a little easier. Definitely a more accurate casting rod. Drifting on the skiff, 7-footers, lighter action. It's going to load better. It's going to cast a little further, especially in the hands of someone who doesn't fish every day. So that's another part of that. If you have people, like whenever it comes to, like, I'll just use Waterloo as an example because that's what I fish with every day. When you look at the Carbon Mag, the Ultra Mag, and those are stiffer rods. If you fish a lot, your casting ability is going to be a little better, and you can cast with those rods. You don't really want to put those rods in the hands of someone who is going to fish once a year, come out for a weekend trip, a vacation trip. You want something lighter that is actually going to assist their casting ability, which is something like the Salinity. And a lighter action rod is going to load easier, and it is going to help them cast further without a lot of skills.
Well, the one thing I would say, and I'm curious what you think, is, we do a lot more drifting than wade fishing. I used to do a lot more wade fishing, in places like Matagorda and Sabine. But drifting with a subsurface bait like a lily or a jerk bait, I like a real short rod, because a lot of times the rod tip has to be down, and you're clipping the water the whole time, and it messes things up.
And
So,
and then there is
shorter.
It's transferring the energy from the tip of the rod to the lure.
Yes.
So a stiffer rod, a medium action with shorter bumps of the tip is going to put more action into the lure. A lighter action rod is going to bend more. Why it's called a lighter action. So you're going to have to put more energy. It's not going to transfer short strikes into the action of the lure. The rod's going to bend, it's going to give more, and it's not going to put that action way out there on the end of that line to make it do what you want it to do.
Yeah. That's go ahead.
Years ago, I just had 7-foot rods, medium light or medium 7-foot rod.
It's just what you got. I was the same way.
That's what I had.
Yeah.
And I'd be working the top water like crazy with it, and it limited the amount of time I could work the top water. Because the old forearm would start just screaming at you because you had to work the rod so much harder to make it do what you wanted to do. Switched over to shorter rods, stiffer, shorter rod, and the amount of work you have to do to make that topwater dance and walk decreases tremendously. And then I could throw a topwater all day then.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, with the lily or the jerk baits underneath, the short rod is just gold for me. That's all I use unless I don't have it on the boat or something. But all right, one more for you guys, and we all fall into this habit as well. Like talking about that's all I threw. Well, we all fall into habits of particular baits. Older baits. Is that overrated or underrated? As in, not just older plastics, but I don't throw a spoon very often, or I don't throw. Well, certainly where we are, I don't throw the corky as much, but or even older baits than that. Some of the mirror lures and stuff like that. Is that overrated or underrated?
I thought you meant like rusty and
rusty hooks and faded colors,
and paint all chipped off of them.
Yeah, although I like those. I like the top waters with the teeth marks and all the paint chipped off, and I'll throw that all day long. But older style baits.
Man, they're classic for a reason, man. They worked forever. I mean, that's definitely not overrated for those. I mean,
but you're like me. We don't. I need to make myself throw some of these older ones sometimes. They're there. They're in the boat.
Man, you just get tuned into what you do, man. It's if you're in the mood to experiment or go out, and what I should do is reminisce. Do they still sell broken backs like the cotton?
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah, they do. And the other day when I was cleaning up some of my fishing gear, I was rearranging some stuff in my little shop over there, and I ran across a whole box full of broke back red fins. And I was like, "Oh man, I really need to go throw these. I need to go try them." I mean, they'll still work. And that's why it's all underrated on those older lures. They were good for a reason. If I could find me an old jumping minnow that was still in good shape, and I bet I could go out there and work the hell out of those reds on that.
Need to get those touts, man. I need to get my hands on some of those.
Those are probably that goes the other direction because those things had zero action.
No action. You were working your ass off with those things.
And the marketing machine in the fishing world it dominates. It dominates us. It makes us buy stuff.
What do you like to say? That fishermen should have a tattoo.
Oh, they should have a sign on their forehead that says, "I buy shit. I'm here to buy things. I just got paid, and my check is for you."
Yeah,
but because there's always something new. I don't care. Every year, every season, they new color, new action, new. The fish are still the same fish. And the cool thing about whether you're bass fishing, redfish, speckled trout, these are predators, man. They are predatory species. If it flashes and it wiggles and it makes a little noise and looks crippled out there in the water, they're going to eat it. I mean, it gets their attention. So all of those old lures, of course, they absolutely will still work. I mean, it's not the fish that changed their mind. It was us.
It was the buyers. It was the consumers.
Yes.
Scott, what would you go ahead?
There's always that hot lure, the lily. I mean, there for a while, if you weren't throwing a lily, you weren't supposed to be able to catch a fish.
I still throw it, but yes, you're right.
I've still never seen one.
But then
you've seen one with me. You've seen one with me.
We had one when I was younger. All the big trout guys went to. It was called the Shifty Shiner. Cotton Cordell made one called the Shifty Shiner. If you weren't throwing a Shifty Shiner that was orange with gold sides, you weren't going to be able to catch a trout. Period. End of story. That was it. Wintertime trout on Sylvan Beach Flat. Shifty Shiner was the only thing you could throw, and that's how lure companies stay in business.
Marketing, baby. Let me ask you this before we get to what would Scott do and Dean do here, because what would you have to see in the water? What would make you throw a gold spoon, Scott? What would you have to see? What would the conditions be, et cetera? I get that question all the time. To me, it's been more of a mood and maybe the shoreline. If I'm fit, or right off the shoreline on some shell or some rocks or something, right, keep it right above that. That's me. But what would you have to see?
My wife.
I know you throw gold spoons. I've seen you rigging them. There's a video.
You could throw that in all of those conditions.
Any condition, it works. What I usually use it for is customers who, sight casting. It's not great for sight casting. A lot of times you drop that spoon in too close to them, it freaks them out a little bit. I think it's just overwhelming. But my customers who can't quite cast as well, I've seen the reds go from a much further distance to hit that than they will a soft plastic. So there's no reason not to throw one, in most conditions. And blind casting over grass flats, it's a way underutilized, great tactic.
Yeah. All right. What would Scott do? What would Dean do? I know you guys have looked at the man. Well, Dean, you've been on the water every day and plan to still be so. But from what you're seeing, I'm interested in this front you talked about. It's not coming real soon, is it, Dean? I mean, Scott?
Yeah, it's it's Sunday next week.
Okay.
That's what they're showing as of right now. And I only know that I don't normally look that far out, but I know that because one of my customers for next week, Alex, the guys that I gave that trip to, him and his wife, they're coming out on, I think, the 12th, and they were already sending me messages about it. Looking out all the way to the 12th, I was like, guys, that's way too far out there. We got a little group text going. They're kind of excited about getting out. But I mean, everything looks great up until that front hits. I mean,
I'm looking at it now.
But Friday's got a little bit of wind, but it's still southeast, so it's not a big deal. So I would say sunshine, light winds. It's going to be a sight casting kind of week. Lower water should be cleared up water, lower water temperatures. He's sight casting all day long.
I'm seeing the front, Dean, but I'm not seeing, maybe I'm just missing it so far. I'm going through the week. I'm not seeing crazy high winds, maybe a little bit on Monday or Sunday evening.
Sunday night,
I got 25 mile an hour north wind.
Okay.
Starting pretty early. Monday. Whoa. Sunday and Monday are both in the 20s. So that's going to be.
I got gusting to 30.
If we can trust.
So get out early,
guys. It's way too far out there. There's a front coming. The timing of that front, that's way too early to say what time it's going to get here.
Yeah, that's.
Tell you what, if you can get out Thursday, my goodness, that looks pretty good. If you can get out
Thursday's looking pretty sweet for some sight casting out there. I mean, like I said, low tides, lower water temperature, sunny all day. That's looking pretty sweet. 5 mile an hour, 6 mile an hour. You can cover some water, and you can see every ripple. You can see the fish move.
Tantalizing, or what did Dean say?
Titillating.
Titillating.
I said tingling. Scott said titillating.
You can see that tingling water.
You had me at titillating.
Either one. I'll take tingling. I'll take titillating. It's been a while.
The rest of this week looks amazing. My son, I will be out for the weekend, though. I am going to my youngest son's wedding this week.
How about that?
How about little Nico getting married?
And you met well, should we even talk about you met DJ's +1?
No, DJ's shipping his he's shipping his in from Austria.
Hey, there are worse things that could happen.
No, so we got a little family wedding going on this weekend, and then it looks like Sunday and Monday is going to be kind of rough. And then after that, but that's just what we're going to deal with for the next, right up till Christmas. It's timing. You're going to have these things that are going to mess it up for 2 or 3 days, 1 or 2 days, depending on how dramatic it is. And then behind that is the absolutely best fishing of the year.
All the time. Well, good job, guys. That was fun. A lot of fun. Appreciate everybody listening here on the YouTube live stream. Of course, that's the Bite Me podcast, or you can search my name or whatever. And it's live on Tuesdays at 3:30. And then I'll be posting this here by about 6 o'clock. I know you're out, and Scott, I don't know what you look like, but we always get listeners that want to fish with you guys because of who you are and what you do. Are we okay? You got some dates open in November, December? What's it looking like?
After middle of November, I'm pretty open.
Okay.
Dean? I got quite a few days.
I got sporadic days. December is wide open. So anybody wants to fish in December, give me a holler. 361-385-0006. Book your date. Don't miss out on the best fishing of the year.
That's a first.
That's like one of them lawyer commercials, where they come and they talk real fast.
Give the number again.
361-385-0006.
Way back when Dean and I were young guys and starting out, Dean called this beans and weenies season.
Oh, yeah.
Well, December, January, February were beans and weenies season. That's all we could afford to eat.
Eating beans in January, man.
Yeah. Well, good job, guys. And of course, everybody, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Don't forget you can get that fresh new gear at ogsauce.com, but the links are on the group page, which you can join as well. And we'll talk to Caleb next week. I guess he was catching fish. Maybe he was just searching for fish. We'll find out next week. Got some topics left over as always. You can direct message me or however you want to put it on the group page, and we can get to your topic. You guys really appreciate it. Have a great week, great weekend. Catch them up. We'll talk to you next time.
My money's on Caleb stuck out there in the bay waiting on Cito.